You've probably noticed them at parties, those people who seem completely unbothered by the social chaos around them. While everyone else is desperately trying to fit in, make small talk, or impress strangers, they're standing there with this almost unsettling calm. They're not awkward or shy, they just don't seem to care about any of it. Here's what nobody tells you. This isn't antisocial behavior. It's actually a sign of something much deeper. These people have discovered what most of us spend our entire lives running from: the uncomfortable truth about human connection. Before we go any further, hit that like button if you've ever felt like an outsider at social gatherings. You're about to understand why that feeling might be your greatest strength. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of history's most brilliant philosophers, spent decades studying this exact phenomenon. His conclusions will shake everything you believe about relationships, popularity, and what it means to be truly fulfilled. And the final insight: it's going to change how you see your own life forever. Think about your last social interaction. Really think about it. How much of that conversation was genuine? How much was just performance? Schopenhauer discovered that most people engage in social life not because they want deep connections, but because they're terrified of being alone with their own thoughts. The average person's mind, he argued, is essentially empty when left to its own devices. They need constant external stimulation, conversations, entertainment, validation, just to feel normal. But intelligent people, their minds are already full. They have rich inner worlds that provide endless fascination. This is why forced small talk feels like torture to them. While others are chatting about the weather or weekend plans, their minds are occupied with complex ideas, creative projects, or philosophical questions. They're not being rude, they're just operating on a completely different frequency. Have you ever felt drained after a social event that was supposed to be fun? That's your brain telling you something important. You're not antisocial, you're just selective about where you invest your mental energy. History backs this up. Newton developed his theories of gravity and isolation. Tesla chose lifelong solitude over marriage. Emily Dickinson rarely left her house, yet created some of the most profound poetry ever written. These weren't lonely people. They were people who found something more compelling than social approval. But here's where it gets really interesting. Schopenhauer noticed that social interactions often involve an element of performance that intelligent people refuse to participate in. In most social settings, people suppress their true selves to fit in. They follow scripts, avoid controversial topics, and say what they think others want to hear. Highly intelligent individuals see right through this charade. They'd rather be authentic and alone than fake and popular. This makes them seem difficult or antisocial, but they're actually just refusing to play a game they find meaningless. The real revelation: most of what we call friendship is actually just shared convenience. People bond over work, circumstances, or proximity. When those factors disappear, so does the connection. Intelligent people recognize this pattern and become extremely selective about who they invest in. This isn't cynicism, it's clarity. When you stop seeking validation from social life, you become free to build relationships based on genuine alignment rather than social obligation. You stop wasting time on superficial connections and start focusing on what actually matters. Schopenhauer made a crucial distinction between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is emptiness seeking to be filled. Solitude is fullness seeking to be explored. The majority of people fear being alone because they associate it with emotional emptiness. But for an intelligent mind, solitude isn't punishment, it's freedom. Consider how much of social life revolves around performance. People carefully curate their identities, filtering what they say and how they present themselves. There's constant pressure to conform, to be agreeable, to avoid uncomfortable truths. For those who see through this, participation feels exhausting. This is what Schopenhauer called the burden of clarity. The more you understand, the less you're able to tolerate illusions. You start seeing social gatherings for what they often are, elaborate distractions from deeper questions about existence and meaning. But here's the paradox. While intelligent individuals often withdraw from social life, they're also the ones most capable of understanding human nature at its deepest level. Their solitude isn't a rejection of humanity, it's an attempt to understand it from a clearer perspective. The ultimate insight. True fulfillment doesn't come from external validation, but from inner development. While most people spend their lives chasing recognition, status, and entertainment, intelligent individuals focus on cultivating wisdom, creativity, and self-mastery. They understand that happiness based on social approval is inherently unstable. Someone else's opinion of you can change instantly, but your own knowledge, skills, and inner peace belong to you forever. This is why they can be alone without feeling incomplete. They've learned to be at peace with themselves. This realization is life-changing because it forces you to question everything you've been taught about fulfillment. What if happiness doesn't come from being surrounded by others, but from developing your own mind? What if the path to true contentment isn't through social success, but through intellectual and creative freedom? The greatest minds in history weren't outliers, they were pioneers. They discovered that the most profound form of existence is one dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and self-understanding. They weren't interested in being popular or socially dominant. They were interested in understanding reality at a deeper level. So here's my challenge to you. What would your life look like if you stopped fearing solitude and started embracing it as a strength? What could you achieve if you focused on your own growth instead of constantly seeking external validation? The answer might surprise you. The people who seem unbothered by social chaos aren't missing out on life. They've discovered something far more valuable. They've learned to think independently, create freely, and exist without the need for constant approval. And perhaps that's the ultimate freedom we're all searching for.